Welcome back to the Blazor Puzzle. It's number 10. I'm Carl Franklin from AppVNext, and that is Jeff Fritz from Microsoft. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, man. Doing good. It's great to see you again for, I can't believe, 10 puzzles now.
Right? And you're not in your normal place. Where are you?
No, they let me out of the machine.
Yeah.
I'm in Bulgaria at the DevReach conference this week.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's halfway around the world.
Right? So it was my turn to travel since you were out last week. It's my turn.
Yeah. It's amazing this stuff works at all, this internet thing. I don't know. It's just a fad.
Totally. It'll
all right,
pass in a couple weeks.
Yeah. All right, let's get to last week's puzzle. All right, here we go. So this one was called A Matter of Focus. We've got a button. When we click the button, we want to show a text field. And I'm using this Boolean right here. Show is false. And up in the markup, if show is true, then we're going to show the input. And we have an element reference here to my text box. So when we show it, we're going to say show equals true. We're going to invoke state as changed, which we think will refresh the page and render the text box. And then we'll call focus async. And the problem is it doesn't work, and it gets us one of these.
The yellow bar of doom.
Yeah, the yellow bar of doom. So we actually got quite a few responses on this, but none of them came up with what I think is the actual solution. But I'll tell you what. One of them, and most of them came up with this same solution. Let me just add a few things here. So a bunch of people said, and they're right about this, that it doesn't actually show up on the page until it does render. And you can't, therefore, just call, state has changed, and then on the next line expect it to have rendered. Now, you could do something like, and somebody sent this solution, you could put a pause in there, just like wait for half a second, but that's kind of kludgy, right? So this is the common response that we got, right? The common solution. You basically hook on after render async, and then if show is true and we're not rendering the first time, then we can be sure that my text box is there. We can call focus async. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, and that seems to work.
All right.
But I don't think this is a good solution. And here's why. Every time you render, if show is true, you're going to set focus to that text box. What if we have two text boxes? What if we have more than one text box and more than one button, and we have a lot of other controls that need to interact? Every time we refresh, we're going to set focus back to my text box, which could be rather annoying. So let me demonstrate this. Okay, so here's my stuff that I had before. Now I've added another input, and it's not predicated on show. It's just going to show all the time. And I've got another button with a click handler, button to click. It does nothing, but it will cause the page to refresh, right? So watch what happens here. So that worked, right? And I'll say hi over here and whatever in here. And when I click another button, oops.
Goes back to the first.
Yeah. So I propose a different solution, and this is one that I use all the time. If you go to the host or wherever your JavaScript is, you put in this little hack. I call it a stupid JavaScript trick. So I've got a method on the window called setFocus, pass the ID, and instead of doing everything here, it calls setTimeout to this local function setFocus, passing the ID after 10 milliseconds. Not very long. And then I'm looking for the element by ID. And if it's not there yet, it means it hasn't fully rendered. So I'm going to check for null. And if it is null, I'm going to call myself recursively in another 10 milliseconds and get out. Now, eventually, and by eventually, who knows? It might be a second, probably not, probably 20 milliseconds, 30 milliseconds, depending, right? Then we know that if we get here, that element exists. We can call focus. You can optionally call select if it has stuff in it. And this just works everywhere. So let's modify our index page. So here I've injected IJS runtime. And my show text field is right there again, but now I'm setting show to true, which we need that Boolean. And then I'm calling my setFocus JavaScript, passing the ID, which I've set to my input. Now, if I have other things, not going to steal focus. It's only going to happen when I click Show Text Field. What do you think, Jeff?
Not bad. That's an interesting way to clearly use all the resources that are available to us, not just Blazor, to solve a problem. Sometimes you need JavaScript.
So as I said, we had a lot of people give us the semi-right answer. Nobody really got that far down into it, however, but we did pick a winner, and that winner is, drum roll please, Dan. Dan from the UK. He didn't give his last name, but Dan in the UK.
All right. Congratulations, Dan.
Congratulations, Dan. Oh, we didn't clap for Dan. Let's give him a clap. And for getting that right, he is going to win one of these, a coveted Blazor Puzzle Mug. By the way, did you get your Blazor Puzzle Mug?
No, I have not.
Oh, I sent you one. You probably haven't been home, that's why. And also a Blazor Puzzle t-shirt. Yep, brandy new. So, that's that. Let's get on to puzzle number 10. So, Jeff, this is yours. Why don't you tell us what we got here?
So this is, I boiled this down from some problems that I was seeing other folks struggle with, some little bit of trickiness that folks don't always understand completely. So I simplified a little bit so I could demonstrate exactly what some of these folks were dealing with. So I have our counter component that we know and love in the template. I added a parameter to it called CurrentCount.
You also took off the page, so it's really a component. It's not routable anymore.
Yes. So, okay, so there's my CurrentCount parameter, and I also put a label inside of here. I took that CurrentCount that was in a span, and I created a component called label. And inside label, that's where I put that CurrentCount. So the CurrentCount text is being passed into this label, and here we can have our parameter, our increment count, just trigger and update that CurrentCount inside the label.
Okay. And I noticed this on after render. What are you doing here?
So in there, I'm just logging that it's calling the after render. Just, hey, this is rendering and completing, and I want folks to see that render's being called.
Okay. Let's run it and see what happens. All right, so we can see that rendered has been called the first time, and you did initialize the current count to 10.
Yep.
And if we click,
logs again. Why is it re-rendering?
Yeah, we don't necessarily want it to re-render every time. Why wouldn't you want it to re-render every time?
Now, if you have a large tree of components that you're updating, when you call state has changed, or you inadvertently touch something and it repaints that entire tree of components, that can cause the browser to do a lot of work, and on a slower machine or on a mobile device, that could lead to a bad experience.
I totally agree. All right, so if you think you know the answer, do not post it on social media. We hope you learned that lesson. Instead, send it here to Jeff and I at BlazorPuzzle@appvnext.com with the subject puzzle number 10. And feel free to post your app working, a picture of your app working, or a video on social media. We'd like that. And please tell your friends about the Blazor Puzzle. And we'll continue to do this as long as people are playing the puzzle.
And we might actually have a new set of puzzles that we could talk about starting in about 2 or 3 weeks here, won't we, Carl?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, Blazor on .NET 8 will bring its challenges and its gotchas that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. So we'll learn a little bit together and discover some cool fixes and even a little hack or two like you showed us earlier.
Mm-hmm. All right. We'll see you next time on the Blazor Puzzle. Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to check out blazortrain.com and the .NETshow.com for more great content.